Hello, everybody. It's episode 9 of the Jocks and Jills podcast, presented, as always, by our besties at CCM. It's Julia Tasheri and Tessa Benum with you. Oh, Tessa, you seem to be at some sort of fireside cabin situation. Like, I want to be where you are, dude.
I love that I am here. I will say this, that
And you look exactly like your daughter Annie right now, like twins.
Do I?
Yes.
I hope I don't smile like her. There's a recent picture my mom sent me of the two kids in the backyard. You know when kids don't know how to smile yet? So it's like all they do is say cheese, but it's an aggressive one. So it's like cheese.
Totally.
And it's like, man, all of these pictures aren't looking nice. And it's like, oh, this is a framer. And then you look and you're like, ooh. It's not.
It's
you look
perfect.
in pain, child. Yeah.
I love it, honestly.
We are in Tremblant. Ed and I got away. Doug and Deb came to town to watch the kiddos.
Love it. Shout
Linda
out.
and Dan took the dog, splitting duties. We're having some après ski right now.
Nice.
And
okay. Did you guys plan that?
He actually
Did you guys plan that little cheers?
Well, no, actually, Ed is jumping in the hot tub, crushing corn nuts right now. And I just love you, this podcast, and women's hockey so much that we half dipped out on après ski and came to do this. So,
aw, that's incredible. Yeah, I've had like one of those. I've had a fun weekend actually. St. Patty's Day weekend.
Julia,
yeah,
like my weekend's awesome, but like I don't know, when did this game happen during the week? You at the Steelheads game?
That was a random Tuesday. It was crazy.
What were you? A beige hockey puck?
I was a bottom bun. Tessa. It's a haunted hamburger contest. So my friend Abby used to work in the Steelheads as well, and she was the one that like invented that game. She worked in their marketing team, and she came up with it, and it was her dream to participate. And then I had like just enough Molson Canadians to put the bottom bun outfit on and get myself out there. We didn't win, which was sad, but the video was a win to me. Just like that whole experience was a win.
There was a moment where you two chest bumped, I want to say.
I was so scared. I thought I was going down. You could tell I grabbed onto her bun.
I didn't notice that. What I noticed, I was worried about your teeth. That was the main thing I was concerned with, and a nose cut, because I'm not sure who had the visor on and who didn't, but there was like a bumping of the faces, and I was like, oh no. There goes either a busted nose or a couple front chiclets, but you ended up okay. It's nice. Everything's intact. I see. You're doing well.
Yeah, it was completely unsafe and crazy, but it was amazing. I love the Steelheads, and if any other teams want to invite me and Abby out to participate in your intermission games, we are very much interested in doing
good
so.
Participants.
Yeah, we're great participants. We'll get the crowd going. Are you guys celebrating St. Patty's Day at all while you're there, or you're just celebrating good times?
It's funny because we actually dipped out like one run early just to hit up some après to get a couple of wings and a pint in us. And I'm like, oh, what's going on over here? That lady's wearing glasses. I'm like, oh, green glasses. Okay, maybe that's just a fashion statement. And then I looked and all the beer was green. I'm like, it's St. Patrick's Day. It's Jennifer Hedger's son's birthday. And he doesn't know how cool it is yet. He doesn't know how cool
Taylor
it is
Heisey's birthday. She loves it.
Taylor Heisey, friend of the show. A lot of people that we've had on have had birthdays either the week of filming their episode, Jill Saunier, March 7th.
Yeah.
Or, I guess during the hockey season. Taylor Heisey. Good birthday.
I love St. Patty's Day. St. Patty's Day, though, makes me really, like, my life is still fun and stuff like that, but it makes me really miss university, because St. Patty's Day in university was just different, It was just one of those times, moment in time.
Yeah.
You didn't like
go to
it?
Ohio State, so you don't understand. We just made any reason,
every weekend
to
like
make
that?
a big party. Yeah, that's okay though. It's okay.
Yeah, it was that one specific weekend. Go visit my friends at Western. It'd be good times.
There you go. Getting all green and Irish.
Also, I heard that even though everyone at CCM was laughing at me for liking the RBK pumps, maybe there was someone that agreed with me. Maybe
Jenner
someone's on my side.
Brianne
cool?
Jenner calls me. She's like, you need to know that I too was a wearer of the pumps. I wore the CCM pumps. And when she was in university, and Jill Saunier, like when Jenner was kind of like when the team was like not really playing well and like maybe they needed a little pick me up, Jill Saunier used to go over to Jenner and like pump her skates up real good and be like, all right, we're pumped up, let's go. And it was like a part of their
I had to pry them out of my I forget who it was, but I was way too old to be wearing them. Like they had to be pried out of my cold dead hockey bag. I did not want to give up the pumps. They were just like my comfort skate.
You didn't give them away, did you?
No, they're still like ODR skates. They're kicking around somewhere in Thunder
Yeah, I was
Bay.
gonna say they all serve a purpose.
Yeah, for sure, for
And
sure. But
those
in terms of like
probably
wearing them publicly, like for on the ice in semi-professional settings, I probably had to
yeah, no,
retire
you should
them.
probably like just a little bit better.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
And with that, those are the headlines of our life.
Mhm.
Hopefully you find them entertaining. Now let's get to the headlines of the PWHL, brought to you by Molson. Okay, headlines presented by Molson for the third and final week. And Tess, we really have had a lot of fun working with Molson. The whole See Her Name campaign, we talked about it last week. It wound up being a huge success, and we're just looking forward to seeing the future. We know that this is going to be a long-term partnership with the PWHL and Molson, and we're excited to see where it goes.
Yeah, just kudos to them to just buying into helping promote the game as well, and honestly, coming on and supporting us as well. I feel like, they saw the bigger picture. They understood that yes, it's important to support the PWHL, and buy up the name bar space so they could lower theirs and have more eyes on their names, but also just to come and support us because they see what we are doing and wanting to, help expose these ladies to more eyeballs, help them tell their stories, help everybody get to know them as people, not only
Yeah.
as players, but as people. Because a lot of them have, great personalities. They all do, quite honestly. Everyone we've had on has just been a home run. I couldn't have been happier with every single interview that we've done. So thank you, Molson, just for fully buying in and believing in this product and showing up. I love it. I love everything that they're doing, and I hope we can continue this partnership as well. But we understand that business is the bottom line. But we like that they did come on for the 3 weeks, and it's been nothing but great things since they did.
Yeah, you said it best last week. Like we got the exact same goal. We love showing off the ladies' personalities and their individuality, and it's exactly what Molson was trying to do with that campaign. So major shout out. Thanks for everything, guys.
Big
Uh,
love.
yeah, and in that International Women's Day game between Toronto and Montreal, that was a heated game. Suspension handed out. We have a sussy on our hands. Brittany
Yep.
Howard suspended for 1 game, and the suspension was as a result of a cross-check in the back of the head to Catherine Daou with a couple of minutes left in the second. I think
Mhm.
there was some confusion because there was also 2 fines
Scuffle.
handed out in that game. Yeah,
Mhm.
$250 fines. Howard got 1, Rebecca and Leslie both got 1 for grabbing the face mask, and that
Yeah.
was in a different scrum right in front of the bench. But I
Mhm.
guess that just speaks to how intense that game was.
Totally. And in that scrum, like I want to say the fact that that there could have been another suspension handed out, in my opinion, in that scuffle in front of the bench where you were actually sitting right there. You had front row seats to that whole thing,
Oh,
right?
yeah.
So you saw that the door had opened.
Yeah, it's so sketch when that happens.
I
Like,
know Monroe came in and hit and cross-checked, hit someone from behind into the open door, and is immediately the second that happened, I was like, "Oh no, this is going to get
yeah.
reviewed." Like in any moment, no matter what, whenever a door opens for whatever reason, like my spidey senses go off. Even as a player, even as a fan now, it's like that is such a dangerous area now. Like you just need to everyone hit the brakes. That's it. And
Yeah.
I'm not calling Monroe out for being a bad player or anything like that. But that was a moment where I was like, that's dangerous. And the league didn't hand out any fines or anything like that. But I feel like hopefully in that moment she realized like, whoa, maybe I shouldn't have done that, or maybe the league reached out to her and was like, look, we're not going to suspend you or fine you, but this is borderline suspendable,
Yeah.
because that's a dangerous place to be. I believe it was Dubois as well, and she even turned around like really upset about it because the door was open, and like I don't know, it's just I feel like extra bad things can happen in that. But in saying that, I mean, with that scuffle and everything, this whole Toronto Montreal rivalry. I know we talked about it at the beginning, like, of course, Toronto Montreal, they're going to be rivals. Well, like, no, that's
Duh.
not a thing. Because, like, what if one team sucks and the other's great? And it doesn't mean that there's a rivalry just because of the Leafs and the Habs. Like, there's got to be some sustenance there, and there is. And Ed and I were
Yeah.
flying to Toronto, so we flew into Montreal, right? So we get off the plane. We're like, whoa, just coming off a nap on the plane because we finally get to sleep because we were without our kids.
Yeah.
And I'm like literally scrubbing my eyes, and I look to my left and I see Kristen O'Neill standing like in the line to talk to the ticketing agent. And I'm like, oh, look, I hope all these people know there's celebrities on this plane. There's the Montreal team. What's up, Kristen? Good to see you. And she's like, hey. And then I hear Corey Chevry call my name. And then I look over and Ambrose and Laura Stacey are having a coffee together. I'm like, what's up, everybody? And we were just chatting with them. And I just mentioned, I'm like, oh, good luck in Pittsburgh. You guys are taking on Toronto. And they're like, immediately, it was like face drop, brows furrowed. Like, they're like, oh, Toronto. And I'm like, yeah. It's great. And I'm like, what is it? And they're like, I honestly, we got to get them in Pittsburgh. They're just like so annoyed and upset and amped. It's like they're so frustrated at the fact that, when Toronto started the season really struggling, the only win they had was against Montreal.
Yeah.
And every game since, literally every game since, Montreal's come up zeros in getting a W against them. So I love this rivalry, but take all of these wins with a grain of salt, because you heard Emma Malte say last week, if we get the choice, let's say Montreal's third, or fourth even, we're not picking Montreal. We don't want Desbiens in the playoffs. She's scary. So I don't know. How much do these wins actually mean outside of jockeying for position, right?
Yeah, that's true. I also have to tell you that I started giggling midway through that conversation because one of the most hilarious things I've ever witnessed in my life, I was timekeeping with my sister some tournament in Thunder Bay when I was a kid. Do you know immediately where I'm going with this? She was doing the little clack at the gate when she was letting the kid out of the box. And of course, this giant kid falls into the box on top of her. It was like the most epic thing ever. I was trying to feel bad for her, but like, Georgia. I'm sorry, Georgia, for exposing like one of your more embarrassing moments here on the podcast.
Georgia.
We were in like grade 7 and 8, like such an easy time to be embarrassed in life. And anyways,
it's not high school though, but that's how you learn, right?
Yeah, exactly. Toronto-Montreal rivalry is no joke. And like you said, like all the Montreal players dialed in as soon as you brought it up.
It was crazy. I was shocked by it. I figured they'd be like, whatever. We're still in battle for first. But they're like, no, that bugged them a lot. And I like that.
Yeah,
that's what you want.
I liked all of TakeOver Weekend, honestly. The battle for fourth place as well. Like that was a physical game.
Can we just give some love to Motor City?
We should.
Detroit, you showed up and showed out, and I love you for that. And, I'm not surprised. Okay? Because outside of Minnesota, who knows hockey more than literally Detroit or Michigan, really, upper Michigan.
For sure.
They weren't there just being fans saying, we're going to show up and support women's hockey. They were there. They're like, no, we own women's hockey. And it was just like rambunctious and loud. I talked to Jana Hefford this morning. I called her. I was like, what was it like? She's like, yo, it was raucous in there. Like, it was crazy. They also broke the record for, most fans in attendance to a professional women's hockey game in the United States. Knocking off Minnesota. I don't doubt Minnesota's going to get ticked about that and try and show up the next home game. But
for sure,
the point is that they were so loud and so into it, and the representation in the crowd was so great. I love that the Taylor Swift sing-along happened.
I'm so glad that you said that, Tessa. I was so nervous to come on here today.
What? No way, man.
Because I didn't know if you were going to hate it. I was obsessed. It was like Mr. Brightside in Colorado.
It's Mr. Brightside. It's living in a lonely world.
Again during the Toronto-Montreal game. So I think this is going to become a thing in the PWHL.
Do it.
Yeah. So they were doing it really loud in Pittsburgh. Kenzie and Cheryl, I think, were like doing everything in their power not to sing along. They were trying to just comment on it.
They were hitting their mute on their mic is what they were doing.
100% they were. Yeah. That is an epic. I think that's going to become a PWHL tradition.
Totally. Personally. And look, it's like any other sing along. Like you said, it was like, what was in Colorado? The Mr. Brightside.
Mm-hmm. It's lots of college teams. Like, you'll know better than I do. The ones that always give me goosebumps are always in college football stadiums, the sing-alongs. Somebody there does Mr. Brightside too. Country Roads Take Me Home in like a college stadium gets me every time.
I feel like anything where there's that number of people, like I would love to know. I remember Adele, when Adele first came to Toronto, and they actually had to move her into the ACC because there was so much interest in her tickets, right? And so she was singing, and then everyone was singing back to her, and she paused for a moment and like kind of had like this moment with herself and everybody. And at the end of the song, she had said, I apologize, for taking a moment. It's just to have this many people sing back my lyrics to me is incredible. And I never expected to experience something like this. But then to go like, there's Taylor Swift doing stadium tours where there's like over 100,000 people there. Shouldn't have to sing, and they could literally play the first 3 notes of every song and the crowd would take it. Shouldn't have to do anything.
For sure.
So I don't know. I think it's cool. I think it's cool when things like that happen. And like you said, it's kind of like empowering a little bit.
Yeah.
I don't know. And go Taylor. Taylor's all about, you know, women empowerment and just being yourself and loving yourself for who you are and just doing you and never mind the rest. So I enjoyed that sing along. We saw it on social media today and we're singing along as well. But
I love it. I love it.
The Battle of Fourth did not disappoint. Manodeum, first of all, doing the starting lineup for Boston. Manodeum, like what a legend. Love Mano.
So sick, man.
Then she drops the puck and it's like, okay, Detroit's losing it. And then it's like just the physicality in that game was wild. I'm like, and I guess we could say this for every game. I don't even know why I'm saying that, but maybe I'm saying it because of the Emily Clark goal where, you know, she came down, Keller got the puck, turned around in the corner, had her head up and saw Emily Clark coming and still took a massive hit from Clark, which was clean hit, IMO, great hit, great hockey play. Grabs the puck, turns around, goes bar down, short side on Erin Frankel, like no slouch. Erin Frankel goes, and it's like, then she gives it to this, you know, as she's going through to give her team some high fives. I was like, let this battle begin for 4th place. This is amazing, and I'm here for all of it.
For sure. The other one, Tess, what did you think of? First of all, we hope Lauren Gable's feeling better. Like that was a tough hit behind the net that she took.
I know.
What did you think of that one? Did you think no penalty there? What did you think of it?
I would like to go back and watch that one. I'm not going to lie. I missed it, and I've been searching for clips to find it, so I don't want to speak out of turn on that one. I think it was ugly, so nobody
really wanted to post it, which I kind of appreciate about the women's hockey community. When somebody gets hurt, like nobody likes to put the clips online. However, I haven't really seen it since, been able to find it. But
shout out to Lauren Gable and you know how much love we have for her and how much we want her to be better and come back. 100%. I guess the only good news coming out of that would be that there is only how many games does Boston have left before they've got 2 games, Toronto and New York on the road. So she'd be missing 2 games if she was seriously injured here and needed time away. And then she would have the whole international break for World Championships. So at least she'll be able to rest and fully recover, you know?
Yeah. Actually,
if she is hurt, which I hope she isn't.
Speaking of World Championships,
I know, just in time, hey?
Before her favorite time of the year. Welcome to the chat, Hilary Knight. You know she got a goal, shootout winner in that game. She's the all-time point leader at that tournament. Like she just heats up for World.
It's so funny. Like as I'm going through all the stats and I'm taking notes and we're working on our lineup and I just start laughing and Ed was like, "What?" I'm like, I'm laughing. Team Canada's got to be like screaming because Hilary Knight is at it again, and maybe it's the time of year. I don't know what it is. It might be habit with time of year, right? Where she just gets a goal in the game and then gets the shootout winner, and she's just as when her juju gets going. I don't know, but like she's back, and everyone's like on the Canadian side. So I love to see it. Great for the game. I want more Hilary. I want all of Hilary. Give me Hilary all of the time,
for sure.
But Canada's probably grinding their teeth a little bit.
It's a scary sight.
It is. It's not fun. I will say that because she can go dark for a game or two and then just show up with 3 goals and 2 assists and say what of it. But Hannah Brandt had a fantastic game as well. Erin Frankel, what a great game. I don't know. Boston's coming along, and you know what? What I love about this is that these 2 teams are battling for 4th, and one team did not get 3 points. You know, they each got points out of this. So it's still really freaking close. And Ottawa didn't look brutal. Ottawa looked great. It looked like a really good game. So those 2 teams, as far as I'm concerned, are neck and neck. And again, I'm going to sound like such a broken record, but if Ottawa could just find a way to continually, put more pucks in the back of the net, like more than 1 goal a game, like you got to shoot for 3. You're always shooting for 3 every game. Like there's got to be a finish there for them. And they're top contender. Because MASH is playing great. They just need that finish. I don't know. We're going to talk about it later, but trade deadline is looming. So
it'll
be interesting to see if anything happens there.
The other game in the takeover weekend, we kind of teed it up and talked about their previous game, but Toronto, 10 in a row, PWHL history. They just keep making history. Troy Ryan was talking about, I don't know, it doesn't feel that way. Troy Ryan was saying like they practiced loose this week. They had so much fun. Imagine how fun it would be to be on Toronto right now. Of course, it's fun to be in the PWHL, but when you go to the rink every single day and you're winning, like there is not a care in the world. And then they beat Montreal again, albeit Montreal, we should know, still without Marie-Philippe Poulin. So Michaela Grant-Mentis got her PWHL debut. I thought she looked pretty good, but it was a loss for Montreal and just still buzzing for Toronto.
The only, I love that this is happening. Look, they play what? They're home against Boston and on the road against Ottawa before the Women's Worlds, right? Yeah. So they could go 12 straight, right? Then they go to Women's Worlds, okay? Then they come back. They have 1, 2, 3 games on the road. Boston, Montreal, New York. And then they're at home against Minnesota and Ottawa.
Wow.
So 3 of their 5 remaining games are on the road. Now, my thing is like I never like going into the playoffs before running into a little bit of adversity. So like, sure, they had a ton of adversity beginning of the season. Absolutely.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. Are we counting that?
It's been way too great. Like, hit one more little hiccup. Make it a game. Make it a game and a half. I don't know. But get something where you just have to, like, refine, retool, refocus, reset. Just a little something, just to get you. Yeah. Oh, right.
So we've officially reached the point with Toronto where we're like, yeah, you guys are too good. Just chill out with it. That's where
I don't even know if it's too good. My point is,
I know what you mean. Now you need to be able to know how to battle through when things are tough, and
just at the beginning of the season.
Yeah,
because if you run into it in playoffs, it's too late. You're too late. You're already done. You're done.
Because at the beginning of the season, it was like you always knew that they were going to put it together somehow. It wasn't going to be as big of a mess as it was.
We kept saying it.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Anyways, great for them. Took down Montreal every game this year.
Crazy.
Albeit, what was it? The last? Well, I shouldn't say the last 2 games. Pooh hurt her knee
during the last game.
Yeah, and everybody thought it was on the back check when she caught Nursey for the empty net. It wasn't. It was the hit right after that.
Yeah.
And she went to the bench and taped up her knee like crazy, and it was like, is that going to do anything? I don't know. Anyways, I hope she's okay because the game needs more her.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Nonetheless, I digress. Great job by Toronto. I want to see them hit a bump in the road. You know what? It might be after Women's Worlds when they come back super tired. Maybe. And they're on the road against Boston.
Yeah.
Or on the road, Montreal finally get another crack at them. Or maybe New York might be sneaky. Get one at home.
I know. We got to talk about New York. But first, we'll talk about Montreal and Toronto. They both sit atop the standings right now. 33 points each. They're tied. Minnesota, I feel like we haven't given enough love to. Since they got Taylor Heisey back, 4 wins in a row. They sit atop the league standing. They had a little bit of a stumble. Remember,
I was going to say you meant
couple
Minnesota,
weeks there. Oh, did I say Montreal?
That's okay. They both start with them.
We're just doing our best
for a hot
here
minute.
today.
It's okay.
Yeah, it's fine. It's fine. You know what I meant.
I do. Yeah, I mean the Taylor Heisey effect. That's why they drafted her first overall. That's why they decided to build their team around her. She's that kind of player, and I think it's just more than on ice performance. I think it's locker room stuff too. As we heard her on our podcast, she's a ton of fun.
Yeah.
She's a good time. She's a good person to be around. I don't think she takes anything too seriously, but she takes it serious enough that when it comes time to get things done, she's ready for it. I like Minnesota. We did was it you and I and Poundy that did a preview for the season? And I was like, there's something about this roster in Minnesota that's got me thinking they're going to win it, but for whatever reason, I can't pick them. And I regret that. But anyways, yeah. Minnesota looks good. Like everything about them. They got 2 very strong goaltenders that are both, just down to earth, great people. None of them are above the team. They're all about just making the team better.
Yeah. What is going on with New York, dude? They haven't won yet in March. I don't think they've won since they had that little win streak right at the beginning of February. So it'd be like mid-February, since almost a month coming up on it since we saw a win from our pals in New York. What's going on there right now, Tess, in your mind?
I don't know. I think they're in tough. I don't want to say they're snake bit, but look, they played Minnesota. tough team to beat right now. Like
For
you
sure.
just said, the game against Boston was overtime. So really, they got a point there, right? Then it was a 4-3 loss to Montreal. So close game against another top team in the league. Like, it's not like they can be totally discouraged. They played the only game really I think they should have taken was, the one against Boston. In those two, between Minnesota and Montreal, those teams are just cruising and crazy good right now. And then after that, beginning of March, they played Minnesota. Again, you got tough. Minnesota twice in a month. That's tough. Yeah. This whole league's tough. I don't even know why I'm talking about this, but like, they just need to find a way to be more opportunistic. And I feel like in this league, power plays are being wasted, and people need to be more creative. And I think I said it. I want to see Montreal run their power play from below the goal line. I want to see more teams do that. Maybe not just that, but run it differently. Like, it's very obvious when, Pooh's in the lineup, Montreal's running their power play, and you're running it through Pooh. Well, yeah.
Of course. Yeah.
I know you're doing that. Everybody knows you're doing that. Like, it's so easy to defend,
Yeah.
I want to see more. Quite
Sometimes
frankly,
when they're good though. Like, Pooh's standing there shooting, even though people
doesn't
know.
matter.
That's what's crazy about it. When
their power play gets shut down all the time. Even at Battle on Bay Street, they had a 5-on-3. I don't even think they got a shot on net. I was like, this is disappointing. There needs to be more than this. Like, and my dad got me onto this. He was like, I hate when power plays are so set up. And I'm like, really? And then I started watching from that perspective, and I was like, guy's got a point. The old man knows a thing or two.
You got to be moving.
Why don't you just play? Because then that would just throw off the penalty kill. If you're just playing hockey, if you like break out of your own end and you don't do that stupid drop pass where everyone's standing 4 in a row on the blue line.
I hate watching the drop pass.
Whoever invented that needs to be kicked out of hockey.
I'm so sick of it now. Every power play has that stupid cheeky little drop pass.
It's so upsetting. Anyways, just enter the zone, regular breakout, like you're playing. Don't even set up, just keep playing. You're going to create more chances that way, because then the penalty kill will never set up. They're just going to be playing, and it's just going to happen. Like a 2-on-1 somewhere.
Right.
Because when they're all taught to pressure, you are taught to pressure at certain points when you see a player's numbers or whatever, or there's a 50-50 puck, everyone's going, you're all pushing on your pistons or whatever.
Yeah.
It'll create more of that, which will in turn create more chances. I don't know. I detest a setup power play, and I blame my father for it. But I'm okay with it. I just wish more people would listen to it.
I know.
Stop setting up your power play. God.
Stop setting up your power play. When you go on rants like this, we're going to call them test talks instead of like, welcome to my test talk, instead of welcome to my TED talk.
Yeah, thank you. We should start that. That's a good one. I appreciate your creativity.
Was the first one. Welcome to her test talk. Stop setting up your power play. We know what you're going to do.
Yeah. So obvious.
Last one in terms of headlines. The trade deadline was supposed to be, we're recording on Sunday, so tonight, March 17th at 11:59 p.m.
Yeah.
Obviously, the league was like, we can't do that. It's St. Patty's Day. Just kidding. That's not why they did it. They moved it to tomorrow. So when you're listening to it, it'll be today, Monday, March 18th at 4 p.m. The roster freeze is the next day, March 19th at noon. And that adjustment was made to accommodate a recent game change. There was a game change earlier this season because of weather, I think it was.
They didn't know the timing of these games, of the takeover games.
Right. There was a couple TBDs in there.
Yeah. So the schedule changed because these takeover games were put in place. So.
Right.
Yeah.
And that also leaves some wiggle room for players who might be released before the trade deadline, give them opportunity to sign with another team.
Yeah,
so
get picked up.
We'll wait on the edge of our seats to see what happens at the trade deadline. You got any you got your ears on the walls? I'm not asking about specific moves, but like you think we'll see some transactions?
I honestly don't know anymore. I've been sending out texts to no response. So what does that mean? I don't know. Maybe people are like, nah.
Yeah.
Like, I have nothing to say back to her, so I'm just not going to say anything.
People got what they got.
And that's it. And I feel like too, I mean, this is for a whole other discussion. People are looking at their lineups. There's a lot of one-year contracts on, and there's a lot of great players coming out of school and coming over from Europe next year in the draft and stuff. So it's like, I don't know. I don't know what people are thinking. I don't know. But in my opinion, if I'm a team in this league this year, you're in it to win it. It doesn't matter. You want to win the inaugural. Be the first one.
100%. Like, there's got to be extra clout to that, winning the very first one. For sure.
Because then everyone's after you the next year.
Yeah.
You're the team. And everyone wants to be a part of your team.
True. Yeah, right? That helps you recruit this summer. So
yeah. Anyways,
I'm into
my head's at.
I like it. So before we get to our interview presented by Nobis, you found this. Was this in our DMs, Tess, or was this an email sent to us?
This was an email sent to us by Shauna McGraw.
Okay, so our interview presented by Nobis this week is Laura Stacey. We had such a good talk with her. She is equally hilarious and humble and just one of the amazing people in the game. And this listener, Shauna McGraw, had a very similar experience with her. She sent us this story. She said, I wanted to suggest Laura Stacey as a guest. I live in New Brunswick, but we recently traveled to Connecticut to watch a PWHL game, New York versus Montreal, because my daughter's a big Poulin fan. First of all, that's really cool that you brought your daughter. You are an extremely cool mom.
What a trip.
Right? I'd desperately been trying to find my daughter a Montreal jersey prior to the game, and it was coming up empty, so I started sending random DMs via Instagram to Montreal players I follow. Laura Stacey was the only person who responded, and she was incredibly kind. She saw us at the game and flipped a puck to my daughter. I also watched her closely during the game, and I think she's one of the most underrated players in the PWHL. She's an absolute powerhouse, hardest worker on the ice every shift. Definitely a fun player to watch.
100%.
Absolutely.
Couldn't agree with you more, Shauna. The thing with Laura Stacey is like she leveled up her game times like 5. I don't know what it was, but
Can
she
you
all of a
pinpoint
sudden
the moment? Because for me, it's almost like the Calgary World bubble.
Yeah, it might have been a little bit before that. I had asked Pooh about it. I met Philippe Poulin. I was like, Pooh, what was it with Stacey? And she's like, I think she just finally understood, there was more to her role than just being an up and down forward. Like there was more that she could do. And she just bought into doing it. And so, I mean, maybe that was it. But as far as Shauna and everything she had to say, couldn't agree more. And I've said it before. I'll say it again. I'll say it every time we're on this show. These ladies are the best role models in the game of hockey, in sports. Really, they get it. These ladies get it. They take the time. They respond to the DM. They flip the puck over the boards. And I mean, I think I've told the story before where I sent Ed and my son to a Habs game in Buffalo. And I had reached out to some of the Habs PR, and I was just like, my husband and my son are going to be there. They have a sign. My son had a sign that said, my name's Theo. It's my first game. Cole, you're my favorite player. And he is. He always talks about Cole Caulfield. And so he was right
I feel
at
like
the
Theo
glass.
could beat up Cole Caulfield.
Yeah, well, when he's a little bit crazy, probably. But and Cole came over and read the sign like twice and didn't even flip the kid a puck. And it's like, no, we got shut out. And I was like, nothing against Cole Caulfield because I know he's got a game to get prepared for. But my point is that here's Laura Stacey that has a game to get prepared for. It responded to a DM, sought out the family, and tossed her a puck. So
yeah,
love that. Love that for them. And because of that, Shauna, you get your wish. We are having Miss Laura Stacey on.
This is such a good one, you guys. Thank you so much, Laura, for the time. Thank you, Nobis, of course, for sponsoring our interviews as always. Enjoy this one. It's Laura Stacey on Jocks and Jills. Okay, so this introduction is going to be a little bit different from our normal ones. Maybe. I'm really not sure because usually, as you all know, I write the introductions for our podcast guest interviews, and then Tessa hates them, changes it after I read them. This time, I came right from work to do this interview, which we're really excited about, and I didn't have time to write an intro, so I asked Tess to do it for me, and I'm about to read it cold, so we're going to see if she put anything in here to...
Can I just say something?
Embarrass me or you. Yeah, go ahead.
I just wrote it in my best Julia voice. That's it.
Oh.
So let me know how I did. Let me know how I did.
What that means. Okay, let's try. Our next guest on the Jocks and Jills podcast is a 2-time Olympian, winning 1 silver and 1 gold, 5-time world champion medalist. She hails from Kleinburg, Ontario, was the captain of Dartmouth University in her senior year. She's drafted 3rd overall into the CWHL's Brampton Thunder, where she earned Rookie of the Year. She won't. Nice try, Tess. She won the Clarkson Cup with the Markham Thunder in 2018 and signed as one of the PWHL's first 3 free agents with Montreal. Jocks and Jills, we are so fired up to present to you Laura Stacey. Welcome to the pod.
Thanks. You crushed it, Tess.
You didn't even write anything weird about me or Laura there.
Yeah, it was. I know, because that's where I come in. I wrote
Yeah.
your side.
Okay.
Right? I wrote
So
it in
bring
your
the weird
voice.
stuff.
I don't know
thought you
that.
nailed it.
I don't think there's a lot of weird. I think I don't want to ruin it because a lot of good stuff is in our questions that will be a slow reveal as we chat with Miss Laura Stacey, who has been so kind to join us post practice. Actually, you and I, I don't know if you met her today on Instagram. Dream Hockey is her name.
Yeah, she's at the rink today.
Yeah. Did she do any tricks for you guys?
No, we asked her to come out and show us some skills, but she wasn't on the ice with us today.
Oh, she's wild.
Have you seen her in person?
Yeah, at the Men's Worlds in Latvia. I'd followed her online. I was following her because she's awesome. And then I got to meet her in Latvia. I was stoked. She was just flipping the puck around, doing all these crazy sticks. She's like, "You try." I'm like, "Cool. Haven't played since 2014. This should go well." They're like, "Roll the cameras." I'm like, "Uh-oh." Anyways, I could barely.
That is a very Googleable video, by the way, and it's a good video. You did well there.
Yeah,
I
did
see it. I would be dumping pucks in, so I'm glad I'm glad I wasn't recording.
I should have been dumping and chasing. Nonetheless, she's awesome. Everyone give her a follow. I believe it's Dream Hockey _. Anyways, I'm gonna get her up to my hockey school at some point to teach the kids how to do what she does. But for yourself, Laura, we always start where people grow up and how they grow up. And I feel like a lot of people that we've spoken to prior all have brothers that played hockey, that were rough and tumble. They played boys. They did this and that. You grew up with a sister, Holly's her name, I believe, who has no interest in sports. So, I mean, I grew up with a sister in the same sense where she's like more academic than she is athletic. But for yourself, what was your experience? Like, did you guys really ever play together? Was there ever like that interchange where you guys could like spend some quality time together as kids?
Yeah, I think we definitely spent the quality time like being athletic, being outdoors, playing sports. But I don't know. Holly was definitely the one who tried every single possible sport. But nothing stuck. Like none of them. She did rhythmic gymnastics. She did hockey. She did like literally you could have named the sport and Holly tried it. And so she tried figure skating. So right away I was like, I'm trying figure. Or I didn't want to figure skate. I wanted to play hockey. But I literally just I didn't try as many sports as Holly because soccer and hockey kind of stuck with me. But you name it, she tried it, and then she ended up running track and getting into science and medicine. So her path definitely shifted a lot earlier than mine did. But even with that, she was super competitive and athletic just in general. So I always kind of wanted to beat her or be like her. So we definitely had those friendly competitions, those challenges. But you're right, it wasn't that like rough and tumble, like pushing each other over, battling in the streets. It was definitely a different type of competition, a different type of drive. But she definitely got me into hockey because my parents put her, one of the many sports she tried was figure skating, and she kind of liked it, kind of did it. Anyway, so they were like, Laura, you can try it too. And I was so against it. I was like, I don't want to play this sport. Like, has pics on their skates, like funny outfits. I saw my sister wearing those little tutus, and I was like, this is not for me. But my parents are like, no, you need to do this before we let you play hockey. Like, if you can't skate, you can't play hockey. And I was like, oh. I ended up just sitting on the ice and crying because I was so stubborn. I was like, all the guys are going across, all my friends from school are playing at the rink across the way playing hockey. And I'm with my sister wearing these tutus and have pics on my skates and can barely stand up. So I was pretty stubborn about it. And somehow my parents were over it. They're like, okay, just go out there, try hockey. And ultimately they were pretty right. Like I was terrible because I couldn't skate because I hadn't practiced in my figure skating class. But I loved it. So I kept wanting to go back. I kept asking for more. I kept asking for more lessons and power skating classes and all these things because I loved hockey and playing with the boys on the other rink. So that's kind of how it all started. But I would say my sister had a pretty big part of it in just following what she saw and what she did.
Well, you definitely learned how to skate. I'll say that. But like when you guys played together, what was it? She wanted to play house or school and you wanted to play mini sticks? Like, is that how it went?
Honestly, her favorite game, I guess, was school. So we would like, I don't know if bargain or is the right word, but I'd be like, okay, we shoot pucks for 30 minutes and then we get to do 30 minutes of school. And I would be her like student and she would be the teacher, and she would make me do like tests of math and science and then she would grade it and bring it upstairs to my parents and be like, oh, Laura's not doing well in school. And like it would be like this, like I don't know, it lasted for a long time. School was like this big game that my sister loved to do. She would put like stickers and legit grade my work, and I would be so demoralized by the grades that I was getting in my sister's school. So it was kind of sad, but it worked out because if I played school for 30, I at least got to play hockey or mini sticks or whatever it was in the basement for a little bit of time. So it was a nice, I guess, sacrifice for the two of us to play those 2 games.
And you definitely got her back by making her be goalie, right? When you played hockey?
100%. And I think that's why she hated even more, you know, like if she actually got to shoot, or I don't know, we had a little bit more fun and it wasn't just me pegging her with shots, I think maybe it wouldn't have been as 30-30. Like I maybe could have convinced her to do a little more on the hockey side, because she did love sports. But it was kind of, I still wonder to this day that she gave me the worst grades I've ever gotten.
School of Holly, tough school.
Yeah, seriously.
Yeah, you don't want to go to Holly school, you don't.
Meanwhile, you go Ivy.
Honestly, it was her tutoring. It must have been the reason I made it there.
Right? You chose Dartmouth?
Yeah.
I'm not judging. I think it's a great school.
Good,
the type of player you are.
It's my favorite place.
Yeah, it's awesome. So Julia, if I were to ask you like to describe Laura Stacey as a player in like a couple words, what would you use?
Probably be 2 of them. Power forward sounds
Proper.
Right, but
And
it's hard to just talk about Laura. It almost feels like without like Laura, you're sitting right here, so I'm talking about you as you're sitting here. Power forward is one, but like I don't know, it doesn't seem almost descriptive enough for how skilled you've become in the past couple of years.
The level up's been unbelievable. But you chose Dartmouth, and one of the ultimate power forwards from my time went there in Jillian Apps. Was she someone that you looked up to or modeled your game after? Because I remember your first time ever coming to national camp, I was like, oh, we've got a new Appsy climbing the ranks here. And it's like an Appsy 2.0. You know what I mean? So was that part of the reason why you chose to go to Dartmouth? Because she was there as well, or she had gone there?
Yeah, I mean, I think knowing that she went there, hearing about her experiences there, and some of the other players who have been there before me definitely was something that opened my eyes to it in the first place, I think. She's definitely somebody I've modeled my game after, looked up to for a really long time. Just everything she does, whether it's on the ice, off the ice, I think she's a great role model and somebody that I've been inspired by. So for sure, 100%. And I think that Dartmouth connection definitely adds to it. Even to this day, she's somebody that I would text or love to hear from in terms of I don't know how my play is looking or what her thoughts on it. I've had conversations with her about school as well, and just what the next step is, what she did. I know running an Ironman and going to get an MBA are definitely 2 things that I've always kind of thought about too. So there's things that I've reached out to her about. So I don't know. I definitely love her opinion on things, and have definitely been inspired or watched or modeled my game off of her for sure.
What was kind of yeah, I'm into the Ironman idea too. I don't think I could do a full Ironman, but I'm really dedicated to the idea of doing a half Ironman next year.
Yeah, I'm
Will you do
worried
the full
about
one?
training for it. I'm
It's
worried
the
about the
swimming
training
that
for it.
stresses me out.
Yeah, same. I
And it
really would
should.
not want to get trampled over, but I don't know. It's definitely something I've thought about for a while, and it would be a cool experience to say you completed an Ironman. Like that's not many people can say that though. Yeah, I definitely thought about it. I don't know when or how or that, but definitely start with maybe the triathlon, the mini Ironman, and then see if I'm enjoying it.
I suggest just going for it. I didn't.
Not even training.
No, well, like
That's
train
such
for
you
it. Don't.
advice.
Nah, well, don't do the baby steps, because I'll tell you
Yeah.
why. I did after I retired. I'm like, I'm going to do the Toronto Triathlon, and they're like, hey, we'd love to have you come do the Toronto Triathlon. I'm like, wicked, I'm going to do this, and they're like, we'll just put you like in the sprint category. I'm like, all right, fine. I probably could have done the other one. Yeah, so they put me in like the sprint triathlon, which is shorter. And so they're like, we'll get you a swim coach.
I was thinking sprint like
You
ski.
thought it was a fast version.
That was very
No,
that was very confusing.
It's shorter.
Tessa.
It's shorter. Okay, it's not as crazy long. So I'm like, all right, cool. They even got me a swim coach and stuff. And like, my swim coach was telling me, he's like, when you start, because it was a floating start, he's like, just stay near the back and just work your way calmly through, because it's open water and it's way different than training in a pool, because you come up to breathe and it smashes you in the face. Anyways, and then you have to like watch where you're going so you're not zigzagging everywhere. It's so stressful. Anyways, competitive me jumps in the water and I'm like, okay, who's this? I could for sure swim faster. Next thing you know, I am like smack dab in the middle of the group of people, and I look over at my coach and he's going, don't do that. And then the horn honked. Anyways, so it's like you're in a UFC fight, you're getting kicked and punched everywhere. And so I just waited for the worst to pass, and then I came up from under the water and started swimming. Nonetheless, I finished that and I was like, cool, check that off the bucket list. And then I ran a half marathon and I thought I would not want to do that over again. So my suggestion is go do the full thing.
Okay.
Just go do it. Okay. And then maybe get the tattoo. I don't know. You're going to go get another tattoo?
Yeah. Did you think you were going to drown in the swimming part though?
Yep. Oh yeah. There was, I remember this person on a little surfboard paddled up and they're like, you doing good? And I was like, no, I am not. Can you please take me home? But the best part was, the best part was when I got out of the water, I don't know if you're in the program, but when I got out of the water, the doctor that was there, not for me, but just there to make sure that everyone was okay. Do you remember Dr. Patty Galvin?
No.
Do you remember her? She wasn't your time. Anyway, she was there. She's like, she was like, Tessa, I'm like, nice.
Sprint triathlon.
Yeah, working as a doctor. I gave her a hug. I was like, oh my God, someone I know, I'm alive. Anyways. I don't know why we even got on Apsy doing
that's
Iron Man. Whatever. Your turn, Julia.
Yeah. So that all sounds intense, and I believe that you can do it, mostly because I think from what I understand, you've kind of been trained to be mentally resilient in these crazy wilderness-based situations based on your time at Dartmouth. We were talking a little bit about how Emma's college coach got her geared up and mentally tough for the season when we had her on last week. I've heard that your coach at Dartmouth had a very intensive pre-camp kind of situation that involved the wilderness. Can you tell us a little about that?
He was a West Point guy, so he was a big army and discipline and by the rules kind of guy. So every season before the season started, he would take us out in Vermont, New Hampshire area. There's tons of like ski hills, forests, hiking paths, whatever. So he would take us up either into a forest or into a ski hill and like have these wild excursions set up for us where we had absolutely nothing but a little map, like a regular map. Like we didn't even have I don't know. I don't really know how to use maps anymore, to be completely honest. Like with a compass too. Like I don't know how to use a compass. I have no idea where true north is. Like, and we would have to navigate around. Honestly, one time we completely missed dinner, and the whole experience probably took 5 to 7 hours longer than he anticipated because we had no idea where, and he was not willing to help us or like grab the compass and show us. We were like drenched in mud, and it was like everybody was like so upset at the time. And then when you look back on the situation, you're like, honestly, like it's one of those things that you're never going to forget, because it was like we literally left at 9 a.m. to hike up this path and carry. We had to, like, every person who had a little bit of an injury was almost like a injured or a dead soldier, so we had to carry them in like the tarp and like a
body bag.
Well, yeah, but it wasn't shut. Like they weren't zipped up, but it was like a tarp. Yeah. So we would have like 4 people would be carrying this sheet with bodies or like a body on it. And the poor person who was hurt felt so bad because they were going for like a little ride on a carpet, you know, like, so, and we ended up, I don't know, it was every year it changed. One year we had to push like a car up the ski hill. He parked it, put it in neutral, and we're like all just like slipping on mud as we're trying to pull this car up. Like
what if it rolled back?
Yeah, 100%. It could have crushed us, but we were all like, all 25 of us were behind this car. So there was never any like too bad of injuries that came out of it. But at least for 3 days, our team was like done, like needed to sleep, needed to sit down, because it was just like, I don't know. It was something else. But to be honest with you, like I would rave about those now and how well it brought our team together, just because of the experience that you go through. Like, you're at the time you're like, I can't believe he is making us do this nonsense. And then at the end of the season, you're like, well, we pushed the car up together, guys. I'm pretty sure we can play a hockey game and block a few pucks. You know what I mean? So it just his ways about it were kind of wild. But they all had a really good, deep rooted meaning that I felt like helped our team quite a bit down the line. Even though we didn't win any championships, it definitely was a pretty good team experience for sure.
Yeah, I'd say we didn't die. We only died one, guys.
We made it down the ski hill.
Yeah, push the car.
But
Yeah, how'd
he
you
was a
get
great
down?
guy.
What was it? You just jumped on the lift?
No. This was like not real. Like it was like I don't know if you call it like double black diamond. Like this was not like, oh, you get to climb up and then take the wheel down that's working. Like it was all like find the path of least resistance that has the least amount of rocks and water, and you're like scaling down the mountain. Like, and we had to follow the compass because it would take you to like a path that was way better in a sense. So we would like stop at this cabin that we would find on the map, and then we would like head on to a rock climbing wall and have to like kind of pull each other up the wall. It was all like really, really well planned. And we had another guy who went to West Point with them. So it was like the two of them, like, just basically showing us that we had no idea and you're way out of our like realm with the like military type of stuff. But by year 4, you kind of knew what to expect. Like you were like, okay, like, I'm going to put my ugly shoes on because they're probably going right to the garbage. I'm getting drenched in mud, but it was awesome.
So moral of the story, if the world ends, find anyone that went to school with Laura Stacey.
I don't know. I would
compass.
personally try and find Mark. I would probably go find my coach if I was coming to that, because he would get us through anything, I think, if that was the case. So I don't know if I could get you through it, but I would try to find him who could help us all get through it.
It's wild stuff. Your senior year, I feel like you probably had the most, what's the word, non-memorable senior final game of your NCAA career. Was that the worst injury that you've ever sustained?
For sure, by far. I think it's
what happened?
The most non-memorable, but it's like the most hard to forget experience ever, just because I don't know if you've ever had the misfortune of not having both of your arms at the same time, but like you can't physically, or like you can't do anything. You can't brush your teeth. You can't eat a sandwich. You can't like go to the bathroom very easily. Like,
just for context for everybody listening, like you broke both your wrists, right?
Yeah, exactly. So I went sliding kind of headfirst into the boards, and then luckily I got my hands up in time, but the way I got them up, like it was kind of like a mangled situation. So they were like severely broken, where they had to like kind of pull the bones back into place. I was lucky I didn't have to have surgery on them, because just they did a really good job at the hospital that first night. But anyways, I was like in a full arm cast and sling on this one, and then I had this like the regular wrist cast on this one. So I was like a little robot, and it was my senior spring. Like I was supposed to be enjoying and having fun, and it was my last term on campus, and here I was like just like moving at all the parties kind of like this, and it was a disaster. My mom had to stay, both my parents stayed with me for my mom for 2 weeks almost, just to help me, because at some point I couldn't like grab anything. I had a dictator do my exams. Like it was crazy.
Wow.
So
yeah.
Did the team wait for you like on the bus? Like where did you go? Did you have to go all the way back? Because it was an away game. You're at Colgate, right?
Yeah, so we were at Colgate, and it was like the first shift of the third period. So, and we were losing. We were out of playoffs. It was like honestly the worst possible ending of a college hockey story in a sense. Like we were out. Like the game meant nothing. But I just went sliding like literally first shift. The ice was like perfectly slippery. And so then it was Colgate. So the hospital's actually like at the time the rink was right across the street from the hospital. And anyways, I think it was like the college paramedics who were on duty. They didn't like, I was in shock. Like I was in so much pain, because it was like it was super displaced. So any little movement, it would go like a little bit further. And it was just like, it kind of looked like I don't know if you've seen Harry Potter's like the guy's wrist when it goes limp. Anyways, they couldn't put the stretcher into the ambulance, and the ambulance literally maybe had to go 200 feet. Like I could have walked across in
Just
my skates
wheel.
way quicker. Yeah, they could have wheeled me across anyways. They try and put me in this ambulance and they can't lock my stretcher in. So I'm literally the stretcher is just sliding back and forth in the back of this ambulance as we go 200 meters away. It was an absolute disaster. Anyway, so I was there for a while at the hospital, and so the team kind of stopped by. My coach and a bunch of the girls came in and said like, "Hey, good luck with everything. Like we're gonna hit the roads," kind of thing. So they drove back, but luckily my parents were there. So my parents we ended up getting in after everything happened that night. We got in the car later, and we drove all the way back to Dartmouth, and we got a flat tire. So we had to stay on, like, here I am, like, completely, it was just a worst night ever. I'm standing on the side of the road. It's winter. My dad's trying to fix this flat tire. Anyways, we put this little tire on, and then we can't make it the rest of the way on this little tire. So we have to stop and get a rental car. Like, it was quite the ordeal, but we made it back, and I had to go to the Dartmouth hospital that next morning anyway. So it was quite the night, but it's definitely one that I'm never going to forget.
Who tripped you?
Actually, it's Jesse Eldridge.
No way.
Yeah.
And we talk about
it. Yeah, we talk about it all the time. Like when I'm angry, I'm like, I mean, I'm not when I'm angry, but I didn't actually ever know this, and then my dad just like randomly was like, oh, like bringing it up, like, oh, do you remember this? Because obviously his only memory of Colgate is that incident. And he was like, oh, Jess, she goes to Colgate. She must know what happens. Anyways, he brings it up and she was like beet red, turned and was like, oh my God, it was me. Like, it just clicked and she felt so bad she hadn't told me. And I was like, I don't care at all. Like it was a complete accident, but it's kind of funny. Like she's lived with us. She's become one of my best friends and literally was the one who was a part of this moment that I'm really never going to forget.
So she literally told me, she's like, I was the one that did that to Laura Stacey. I'm like,
says.
Yeah, I'm like, no way. She's like, yeah. And then my first ever camp, after it happened, she didn't find out until the next day how bad it was, like how broken your wrist.
Yeah, nobody really knew. Nobody.
Yeah, so she didn't know till the next day, and she had actually written you a letter. She'd written you an apology letter that she was going to mail you, and someone on her team told her, like, yeah, don't mail it. Like she won't like that. So she never mailed it.
Yeah, they were like, "Oh, she's angry. Don't send it." And I was like, "I would love to receive that."
And so she told me, she's like, "I regret every day not sending that letter." She's like, and then in 2019, my first national team camp, of all the 50 players that were there, I look and whose name is my name beside, but Laura Stacey. I'm her roommate. I'm like, oh my gosh. She's like, we didn't talk about it. Obviously, because you didn't know, I'm assuming. And she was like, and being roommates with her. Yeah. She's like, and being roommates with her, she convinced me to move to Montreal. She's like, so I did. And then sure enough, the first event that she does is a golf tournament, and your dad's there. And he was saying, yeah, I hate Colgate, blah, blah, blah. This is happened to my daughter. Do you know who did that to her? And she was like, it was me. And she was like, I felt so awful. So the poor kid, the fact she admitted it is sweet.
I
she
know,
didn't have to.
I'm surprised she just said, oh yeah, Colgate. Not sure who did that, you know?
The reason, the way she said it though, was that he asked her, like, was it you that tripped her? And she said, indeed it was.
I could see that. I could see her saying that 100%.
You guys are cool now, though, obviously.
Yeah, of course. I mean, I was cool. I didn't really care who did it. It was pretty much a fluke accident. Like it wasn't malicious or anything at all. So, and I think it makes it funnier that it's her nowadays, looking back at it.
I actually have to bring this up now because you mentioned Montreal and moving there. You got Jesse to move there. I've noticed in this interview, you've been in Montreal for a while. I think I heard you say, to be honest, do you think you're developing a French accent?
I don't know if I could with how poor my French is, but
no, because I remember a couple years ago at Worlds, you were saying like maybe I could do a French interview because when we do for backstory for our listeners, when we do Women's Worlds, we usually tape one interview afterwards to send to RDS in French. And you were kind of a candidate at one point. You said you could do the taped interviews, but now I'm hearing like a legit accent when you speak.
Oh boy,
I like it. I wouldn't say I'm there yet, but I'm getting better with the interviews for sure. They still scare me a little just because, I don't know, sometimes interviews after hockey games are tough as it is to say the right thing. So to say it in French when I don't know all the words is not always that easy, but I do like it and I want to be better. So
that's fair. I saw Corey Chevry open one of her press conferences speaking French. I was really proud of her because she was really I don't think the welcome in Montreal was as great as it could have been for her, but nice to see her try and do it. So kudos to your coach. Couple snaps for Corey Chevry.
Yeah, and she's taken some classes too. So.
I know. I'm so proud of her, man. And not to
Pretty
like
awesome.
she's busy too. Like it's not like you guys don't have anything going on.
Yeah.
My goodness. Charitable stuff. I feel like, Jill Sonia's got the Jill Sonia Foundation. You have your LS7 Sticks In for Charity. Talk to us about that event. I know it's in support of Kids Sport Ontario, helping kids, gain access to sport. How did it come to be? How can some of our listeners and viewers, get involved or help support or donate? This is your chance to pitch it.
Yeah, so 2018 after the Olympics, I came home. We had just lost, so it was kind of a tough, like, what do you do next? Where do you go from here? It was just kind of all of a blur, and it was my first one, so it was kind of also like I had no idea what to do and where to go. So I saw a lot of my teammates doing some camps. I actually went back and played in the PWHL, so that helped for sure. And I think it was May-ish, so it was my birthday, I think, and my sister's husband's birthday is actually the exact same day as mine. So we went outside, we were playing road hockey, and then all of our neighbors and kids on the street and dads just started joining this game that we were kind of playing. And it grew into a full game of road hockey on my parents' street, right in our neighborhood, on our birthday. And my sister's husband looked at me and he was like, "Why don't you do this? Like, why don't you do a road hockey tournament in our neighborhood, like a charity one?" And I was like, "Okay, like, good idea," but like it was just an idea. And he was like, "No, just like do it this summer, see what happens. And even if you don't raise any money, at least you're having a fun road hockey day in my mom and dad's neighborhood." And I was like, "Okay, let's try it." So we had less than like 6 weeks to kind of pull this together, and we had no expectations. We were kind of just like, "Okay, let's see how it goes. Let's see who comes out." Anyways, I messaged all my teammates and I was like, "Hey, can you be a pro in this event? Do you want to come out?" Anyways, they were all for it. They were gung ho to help me out. Wanted to kind of see where this could go, and it ended up turning into quite the event. We were able to raise money our first year, which we thought, okay, let's just cover our costs, break even, and have a good time. Anyways, we started raising money, and I think it started to shock me and my family a little of like what this could be, where it could go. So we started like thinking of like what is it that we want to get out of this. And I think that first year it was obviously like, hey, let's bring the community together. Let's get outside and play. Let's get kids and families active, because nowadays we're on our phones and tablets and computers so much. And back in the day, that's all we did is we went outside, played road hockey, got called in for dinner, and then went back out as soon as we were done eating. And I was like, how could we bring this back? Because you just don't see it as much. So that's where the idea came from. And now, honestly, it's turned into something bigger than I ever could have expected. And yeah, now the proceeds are and have been going towards kids sport. Just because I think it's such a great connection. I think me and my sister were very fortunate to grow up in a family that was able to allow us to play, like my sister, every single possible sport she wanted to try. And for me, I got to play hockey, no matter the cost, no matter the distance, whatever the case may be. So knowing that a lot of kids and people don't necessarily have that same opportunity, I think it was the perfect kind of transition from, hey, now we are starting to raise money. How do we give that back? And how do we do something positive with this platform and with this charity? So I'm going to do it again this summer. I haven't 100% posted or confirmed yet, but I believe it's going to be July 6th. So I'm really looking forward to that. Hopefully it'll be a biggest and best one yet, because it's actually our 5th year, which I'm pretty happy and proud of. So it's definitely my one of my prouder moments or proudest things that I've done. And I think my parents ask me every year, so when is this wrapping up? And I'm like, I love it, and I think they do too. It's just it's a lot on them too. So
it's a lot of work.
Yeah,
100%.
That's awesome. It's such a good event. Like, I love that month in July when there's a couple like NHL pro ball hockey events, like what's the one in Vaughan? I'm forgetting. I feel like there's a 3-week run in the summertime where I go into like pro ball hockey mode. It's one I really enjoy. Just talking about all you do in the community and different stuff like that. Montreal has really embraced your team. You guys are getting the next Bell Center game, big one in an NHL arena versus Toronto, and that has become probably the best rivalry in the PWHL. You guys are tied Minnesota 2 atop the standings right now with 30 points. Can you speak to the rivalry between you, Montreal, and Toronto right now? Because it seems like a heated one. We saw this couple suspension come down from Friday night's game today. It's pretty tense out there, and you guys are playing.
It's definitely growing. It's definitely becoming more and more of a rivalry. I think at the beginning of the year, you talk about it, Montreal, Toronto. You kind of figure that out, even just based off of the teams and the structure and us being pretty close and all those things. But the last game and the last couple of games, it's just getting more and more ramped up. So I'm pretty excited to see Pittsburgh and then the Bell Center. And obviously, as a Montreal team, we haven't necessarily been that satisfied with the results of those games. Obviously, those points matter and points matter, but I think just in terms of our own play, is we have some higher expectations than that. So I think that is something that we talk a lot about, is how do we kind of obviously focus on that rivalry, but also focus on ourselves and our own play. But I don't know. I think it's been awesome. I think every game in this league so far has really been has really exceeded our expectations. But that Scotiabank Arena game, that last game in Mattamy, I think it feels like playoff hockey already. So I'm not really sure how playoff hockey is going to feel, to be honest.
Well, we're all here for it. I'll tell you that much.
Yeah,
everyone's
it's gonna be
loving
crazy.
it. It's like, everyone's like, obviously Toronto, Montreal are going to be rivals, and it's like, well, maybe not. And it's like, no, we are. It's like, oh, okay,
No, for sure.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, no, and I've always been
down.
on the Toronto, like I've always been a Toronto Maple Leafs fan on the Toronto side of it. So to see it for real from the other perspective too is pretty cool to see.
For yourself, I mean, you've almost done it all. I mean, you've won World Championship gold, you won Olympic gold. So where does tapping Lil Jon on the shoulder rank in all the things you've done in your career?
I like as in having this league and this rivalry and this situation.
Everything, just being able to tap Lil Jon on the shoulder at Emirates and Genevieve's bachelorette party, I believe, in Vegas.
John, oh my god, I didn't even know what you're talking about. Honestly, it's pretty up there as a memory. That's so funny. You obviously saw that video, but I would say Little John is definitely up there. I think people were more proud of me for doing that than some of the other things I've accomplished in life. I don't know if you saw their reactions in the video, but they were like so impressed that I got to touch Little John, and so was I, obviously. But that is hilarious that you brought that up and that you saw it. But it was quite the fun night, that's for sure.
I don't
Actually,
doubt.
Have you ever heard Little John perform?
Nope.
No. Good stuff.
Okay, it's like, honestly, it was like it's like 90s pop, like top 90s songs that he kind of plays on his little DJ set, and then he just throws in a bunch of like yeah in there in the mix all the time. Like it's right. So, in Vegas, it was amazing. Like it was something I've never kind of experienced before. Cool. But I figured I only knew maybe 2 of his songs, but it didn't matter because he played like, I don't know, Vanessa Carlton, 1,000 Miles, and like all these like different pop songs that you can sing along to, and then he kind of just jumps in on his mic every once in a while. So
and then he cruised by you, and you decided to give him the old "good job out there, bud."
Actually, I feel like everybody's gonna be mad at us if we don't ask one question about this. There's been a lot of bachelorettes and weddings and engagement parties on the national team the past couple of years. Where with planning, is it fun? Is it stressful?
I heard it's gonna be awesome.
It's fun. It's fun. We've definitely stepped aside a little. Like we kind of were like, okay, these are the dates that are available. These are kind of the places that we would like. And then my sister and some of her really good friends are kind of stepping in and taking that planning, because it's one less thing that we kind of have to deal with and plan. But we're excited about it. Definitely no stress there. Pretty looking forward to just, I don't know, getting away and spending some time with.
Do you know where you're going? You don't have to tell everybody if you don't want people to follow your bachelorette party.
So many people would probably.
Maybe Little John. Maybe Little John might hear it and just show up.
There, honestly, I would tell him that we're going to Austin just so that Little John shows up. I think that's where we're going. That's what I last heard. Austin, Texas.
Can someone tag Lil John, please, and let him know?
I would love another performance.
That is buddy Laura Stacey's been waiting to give him a tap on the other shoulder.
That's too funny.
We're really excited for you, honestly. Two great people doing 2 great things, and we look forward to getting our invite in the mail. So
I'll work on the guest list after this.
Yeah, that's got to be a lot of the planning, eh? Is the guest list? It's got to be stressful.
Yeah, a little. And obviously, like, we've both been on teams for our entire life, so it's hard to determine all of those friendships, and times have changed, and times are, I don't know.
Not if you're Abby Rock though.
awesome.
Abby Rock just keeps the list in her phone running.
Oh wow, she's ready for marriage.
Yeah, you've heard about this? I don't know. This has kind of become a
No, I
running
didn't
joke.
hear
True
about this,
story.
but I'm
Well,
not surprised.
Yeah, you're clearly not on the
Yeah.
list.
Well-
if you haven't heard.
Yes, I'm definitely not on her list. I don't think.
Wait, actually,
I'll work on it.
this is the last one before we let you go. We did hear one thing involving your wedding ring in a dog park. I don't know how. I don't
Every
know how much you want
woman's
to share
worst
about that. Do you
nightmare.
want to divulge
Story.
that story, or should we leave that one off?
Buddy. Okay, can I tell you
that's-
something?
I mean, it's yeah.
That is my worst. Like when I got engaged, I was like, I'm never taking this off. I showered with it. I put cream on with it. It was so gross and dirty. I only took it off to clean it. So the fact that something like this happened to you
I didn't
gives
even
me
take
sweaty
mine
palms.
off. Yeah. I had crazy sweaty palms. I was so nervous to see her reaction to it. I was like, oh no, it's not there. But we
What
basically
happened?
went to the dog. We went to the soccer field to play ball with our dog, and just were like walking around. Anyways, we go back to the car, and I literally look at my hand, and I just see a band, and I like twist it around because I'm like, okay, maybe it just moved over or whatever. And it's like there's 0 diamond on this gold band, and I was like, oh my god, like the sun is setting. We just were at a park with grass and snow. Like, how on earth are we gonna find this ring? Anyway, so we go back. We're like, well, we're gonna spend our evening out here searching for the diamond and hope that it turns up. So we go back and we bring Arlo back out because we're like, maybe he'll help. Like, well, why not? So we just start like kind of walking down the stairs, scouring the glass, and I'm like, okay, I'm checking every pocket. And luckily, I put my hands into my coat, my winter coat, and my diamond is just like sitting at the base of my pocket. So it must have been like super loose. And then I put my hands in, and it like fell completely off. So kind of bizarre. But the funny part of the story actually is, like, for some reason, who was like, oh, let's play catch with our left hands today because you need to work on being a multi-handed athlete and ambidextrous. I was like, why? She's like, oh, it's good for us to practice on our offhand. So here we are, like throwing and catching with and that's definitely why my diamond just got completely knocked off, because I must have caught the ball and it like smoked. So I went back to the car. I was like, this is why we can't practice throwing with our left hand. So we no longer practice our offhands. But it was like, at least I'm not going to get in trouble for this, because it wasn't my idea to start.
It wasn't your fault. You can't be blamed.
Yeah.
That is
So I got
like the
lucky.
best story ever, and so extremely on brand for you two. Very
Yeah,
really
it really is,
effortless.
like,
And
that's
so
really
good.
for sure.
People might not know this, but she is ambidextrous.
Yeah, ish, but like not like she's better throwing a ball with one hand for sure, but she's better
Right.
than me, so that's why she was like, let's throw with our offhand. So she wanted to show that she was way better at throwing with hers than mine, you know?
Yeah, her left hand is better than some people's dominant
Oh,
hand.
100% for sure.
Like, it's crazy. Anyways, I'm glad you found your diamond.
That's
It was
the
just the
story.
diamond, not the ring.
Yeah, it was literally like it got like chopped off right at the top, so it must have just like, yeah. So then I had to bring it into the at least he found the diamond, like no harm, no foul, but it was quite the scary like 15 to 20 minutes for sure. A little like heart racing.
Oh my gosh, I bet.
No doubt.
Well, Laura, we
That's a win.
appreciate the time so much today. We appreciate your
Yeah.
storytelling, and just you coming to hang out with us for a little bit today. You've been so fun to watch this season for Montreal. You've been so fun to watch for the last, like, I don't know. You
Since you've
just
been
have
with
had
the
this
team.
amazing renaissance. It feels like the past couple years, and we're just excited to keep watching you play. So thank you so much for joining us, and good luck the rest of the way.
I appreciate that a lot, you guys. Thanks for having me, and thanks for doing this. I think it's awesome to see for women's hockey, women's sports in general. So thanks you guys.
Appreciate that, buddy.
Thank you. You're the best. All right. Thank you so much again, Laura. Hilarious, iconic. Laura is just one of the best, and so humble and so good at what she does. Like, just one of the greatest. And thank you to Novus as well for sponsoring our interview segment as always. The lost wedding ring, engagement ring, story kills me. But you,
Can't.
Tess, strike me as someone who would lose her engagement ring. So can you tell me if you ever had a moment like that?
No, one time.
See, I didn't even know, but I knew that you'd have a story.
Yeah, we went to right after we got engaged. We went to.
It's
It wasn't right
immediately
after we got
after.
engaged. It wasn't immediately after. It was like 8 months later. We went to
Okay.
we went to Ohio State for my alumni weekend.
Of course.
And the morning we were leaving, I went and showered, and for whatever reason, I was like, I got to take my ring off, and I took it off and I put it on the edge of the tub, and got out of the shower, got ready. We're all leaving, and Ed's like, "Are we good to go?" I'm like, "Yeah, let's get out of here. Come on, we just gotta go. We gotta go. We gotta go." And he was like, "I'm just gonna do one more walkthrough," and I was like, "Ugh," like so annoyed because he's very diligent on things like that. Thank
Yeah.
God. And he went in the washroom and came out, and he was like,
Worst told you so ever,
"Yeah, you forgot something."
but also best.
So,
at the
and then
same
I never
time.
take it off. I don't like if I ever have it off. I bite on them. I hold them in my teeth.
Oh yeah.
Like for cream or washing hands or anything. I can't just sweaty palms
Feel that.
thinking of that.
I feel that. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, welcome to the Send It segment. You send us your questions. We'll answer them. Our email is jocksandjills@gmail.com. We comb through them. We appreciate you guys sending them to us, and we love hearing from you, honestly. The engagement with you guys on social media and the email and this segment is one of our favorite parts of doing the show. So thank
Awesome.
you. PWHL fans and women's hockey fans, you know this, of course, but are the best. This first one comes from Ian Venables. With most of the league on expiring deals this summer, do you think that there will be a lot of movement, read poaching, between teams for next season? Do you think one-year deals will remain the norm? What do you think, Tessa? It's going to be so interesting to see. Honestly, I think one thing that factors into all the questions surrounding next year is expansion. Like, you can't talk about next year without talking. Maybe, and I'm not trying to like throw that out there all crazy, like, but it's hard to even think about next year without considering expansion.
And totally fair. And just chatting with people in and around, the PWHL higher ups, that next year is not the year to expand. I feel like their main goal is to get the product up to a level that they think is like peak.
Yeah.
That where they can maintain, and then they will think about expanding. So next year is not the year to expand.
I'm pro that also. Like
I don't mind that at all because I feel like
6 years for a couple.
The draft class, the next 2 years coming out of the NCAA, and can I just say, like, these kids that are coming out of the NCAA these days are so good.
It's gonna be vicious to keep a roster spot for a lot of girls who are on teams this year.
And look, I'm not laughing because of that. I'm laughing at how ridiculously good these kids are.
Oh, I know. You compare it to like
and
any time, they're so good now.
But I only have love and respect for the ladies that have come in this year, have signed 1-year deals, and they're like, we're going to make this league the best. And I'm glad they were a part of it. And the unfortunate thing about it is similar to the PHF being bought out and the PWHL having 6 teams and people losing their jobs, unfortunately, is that's just what's going to happen for the next 2 to 3 years, is that there's just going to be a continual cutoff until the league can figure out a way to create a feeder system or a feeder league, if you will. Now, whether that's, partnering with a league in Europe and sending these players to Europe to play, and having the European League agree, on a day's notice, if a team needs a player, you're flying them back, and it doesn't matter what position your team's in. If you're battling for a playoff spot or not, we get that player. Do you know what I mean?
I've always been into the idea of those because those European leagues have
Europe's
been
just
legitimate
far
for a while. It's just far, but those are the leagues right now that are the most viable for a feeder.
And totally. And I can't even argue with you on that. But next year sees a 7-round draft. When I was talking to Jana, she's like, they haven't decided if they're going to keep the same rules in place in terms of training camp, but they can bring 34 players to camp to figure out who they want to sign. And I think with, the 7-round draft and all these players that are coming out of the NCAA, these camps are going to be incredibly competitive. And if I'm a player on this team this year, I'm like, nah, I'm going to fight tooth, claw, and nail to keep my spot. Like, it's my spot. You're going to have to take it from me. But like I said, you're on a 1-year deal. Now you can shop around.
Right.
So did you enjoy your time in Boston? I don't know. Did you enjoy your time in Toronto? I don't know. You might like it better in Minnesota. I don't know. So now you can shop around and go try out, hopefully have your agent get you a tryout somewhere.
Be interesting. So this is kind of a
There's
similar.
going to be a massive shuffle.
Huge. We got kind of a similar question from someone named Emily Summers. Hey, Emily, about Melody Dow specifically, asking about how Dow wasn't able to get exemption to play exclusively for Montreal, and if what's going to happen next year. Yeah, there's going to be a lot of movement. Yeah, she can definitely get signed by Montreal.
She can be signed by anybody.
Yeah.
Right? She's a free agent. Anybody can take her. So I'm being handed a cheese curd, a buffalo cheese curd right now.
Oh, damn.
When in Quebec.
I need
Squeaky
a buffalo
cheese.
cheese curd handed to me. That's dope.
All right, last one. What do we got?
When a player's traded, this one comes from Katie Duber. When a player's traded, does the league assist with relocation? In the NHL, they make millions, so paying for movers is not a big deal. They also get some help from teams in the league, of course, with when it comes to like coordinating schools and stuff like that for their kids and different stuff in the community. In this league, they aren't making that much money, so paying to move this is expensive. What type of support does the league offer when players are traded? And you checked in on this, Tess.
I did, yeah. There was admittance that they would like to have done better on the first trade that took place, but they do support their players. So they do help with the moving of their things, the booking of the flights, making sure their gear gets there, all of that good stuff. So the ladies aren't hung out to dry to organize and, take on all expenses for being traded. So the league has made note and made sure that, when this happens, since especially these ladies aren't used to this and some of them might have families, that is incredibly important for them to step up and be there for these women for support. So yes, they do.
All right. Well, we're happy to hear that. And if the first one wasn't perfect, that's the vibe with a brand new league. Like,
and that's
they're learning every single
right?
day. Yeah, they're learning every single day. They're taking notes every single day. They're improving every single day. And so are we on Jocks and Jills, Tessa. Thank you for listening to episode 9. Thank you to our sponsors. Molson was our last week, having them on as a sponsor. Thank you to them. Novus, as always, for sponsoring our interviews. And of course, Tessa, you're rocking the lid today. CCM, our presenting sponsor. We'll talk to you next week. Enjoy the trade deadline and enjoy the games this week. Cheers, everybody.